Second lie, marriage is a covenant for life. And we've heard that teaching, and it doesn't matter how I treat him, how he treats me or how I treat him. It doesn't matter how we interact with one another. We are cemented together and we can never separate. Now, there are some theologians who believe that. And so when you believe that, then God becomes kind of a cosmic cop to you and a bully and a kind of God who says, I don't care what's happening. I don't care how you feel. I don't care who's oppressing you. You just stay put. But I don't see God's character anywhere in the Bible like that. In fact, I don't see God requiring unconditional covenant in the covenant of marriage. Yes, it's a covenant that two people make. You never enter into a marriage with only one person saying vows, right? Both people are saying vows to love, to honor, to protect, and to cherish. And when one person fails to keep those vows repeatedly, habitually, and they don't care to change that, the relationship of marriage is affected. Now, you still may be legally married, but relationally, the relationship of marriage, where it says in Proverbs 31, he trusts her to do him good, not harm, all the days of his life. That's the safety of a long-term relationship. Doesn't mean it's a perfect relationship, but that's the comfort, that trust, that I know this person, even if I get hurt, they don't intend to harm me. That's not their heart. They don't want to harm me. And so when you're told that it doesn't matter if your husband abuses you, it doesn't matter if he beats you, it doesn't matter if he's spending all the money recklessly, it doesn't matter if he's, hurting your kids, God wants you to stay no matter what. That's a picture of God. But even God didn't stay no matter what. He divorced Israel. He said, I've had it with you guys. You're not keeping your end of the covenant. Didn't mean he didn't love them, right? So there's this unconditional love that God calls us to. Not unconditional relationship. And here's where we as women sometimes make a big, big mistake. And the most tempting thing to do when someone hurts you or someone abuses you is to retaliate and to hurt them back. And we find our strength in our anger and our resentment, and they become our character then. And we don't even like our own selves anymore, because how are we any different than the abuser? Right? So when Jesus tells us, love your enemies, do them good, it doesn't mean you're in a intimate, close relationship with them. Jesus wasn't. He wasn't in an intimate, close relationship with Judas or the Pharisees, but he loved them. It also doesn't mean that you don't take any safeguards to protect yourself. Even Jesus protected himself. And so this goes into this wrong theology around sacrifice and suffering that sometimes Christians have been taught, that as a Christian wife, you need to just suffer for Jesus' sake and be this martyr for the gospel and for a good testimony, and let your husband treat you as he will. But that's not really good theology, because when God calls us to sacrifice and suffer for things like speaking the truth about the gospel, and even today, if you speak up for Christ, you might suffer a little bit, right? And so God says, if you suffer for those things, good for you. But if you suffer at the hands of someone who hurts you, that's called injustice. That's called wrongdoing. That's called evil doing. That's called abuse. And we may suffer then, right? But we're not to voluntarily sign up for that. Now, people will use, well, Jesus suffered. He went to the cross. People abused him. And yes, he did. But when we suffer like that, so if I see someone raping a woman and I go there and say, stop it, or I'm calling the police, and he turns around and shoots me, I suffered, because I was trying to help someone, and I paid the price of that, and that was a noble thing to do. But right, just to say, well, you can rape me too because I'm a Christian and Jesus says I should suffer willingly, or you can rape me instead. That's craziness. That's craziness. And so God calls us to suffer, yes, and sacrifice, yes, for what? For someone's good. For someone's good. And so if I am being abused by my husband and I call the police and they come and take him to jail and he suffers in jail and I suffer because my church is mad at me because I called the authorities and because, now he's not working and I don't have any income, well, maybe I'm suffering for a good cause, that hopefully jail will wake him up. Hopefully jail and the external authorities will help him see that you just can't act that way, that this isn't okay. It's not only not okay biblically, it's not okay legally. God does not care more about the sanctity of the church or the sanctity of your marriage than he does about the safety and the sanity of the individuals in it. And if we think about Jesus, when Jesus was seeing that people were setting to harm him before the Passover and they were going to throw him off the cliff, remember that? He didn't say, go ahead, I'll just trust God. He got out of there. He got out. He didn't always voluntarily suffer. In fact, he never voluntarily suffered until it was his time. And he suffered not to allow those people to hurt him. He suffered because he had a purpose. He was going to the cross for our good and for their good. So to see yourself as a sacrificial lamb in order to be a testimony. Somebody already was a sacrificial lamb, Jesus. You don't need to be. You can't save your husband's soul by allowing him to continue to abuse you. And that is not a good thing to do. It's not a healthy thing to do.